Alzheimer's, dementia is because you are feeding yourself more sugar than the body can deal with it. Why? मैं बोलता हूँ फिजियोलॉजिकल हंगर कम है बट साइकोलॉजिकल हंगर ज्यादा है. बॉडी में हायर इन्फ्लेमेशन है, हायर ऑक्सीडेटिव स्ट्रेस है. You eat whole foods which are organic. They have natural antioxidants which will go and fight this oxidative stress. इसीलिए इसको antioxidants बोलते हैं. More family members carry you as a child, the more diverse or good gut you have. Depressed, your gut is telling the brain all is not well. Butterflies in the stomach is a real feeling. 90% of Indians eat less than 10 grams. If you don't sleep, all hell breaks loose. If you are not sleeping, it doesn't matter how good you eat, how much you exercise, nothing matters.
मुझे ड्रीम्स में आया था कि मैं 15-20 नीलगाय से सराउंडेड हूँ. उस कॉलेज में आज तक नीलगाय नहीं आई थी. द डे आई हैड दिस ड्रीम एंड आई रिमेंबर्ड इट, आई वेंट फॉर ब्रेकफास्ट एंड इन कॉलेज कैंपस देयर वर 20 नीलगाय. Hello everyone, my name is Prranav and I'm your host at the Gut Feel Show. This is a podcast on mental well-being where we invite guests from all walks of life to discuss different aspects of well-being in their profession and in their life. Our today's guest is Mr. Prashant Desai. You must have seen him around on social media going viral, known as the Ghee Man of India now and also known as the Longevity Sherpa. This podcast will tell you everything about the food that you eat, the sleep that you're missing on, and how that is impacting your life in all the serious ways that you are not even thinking about. Sugar, what is the role of sugar in life, how we are manipulated by sugar, gut health, the gut-mind axis, how important is gut health, and actually in detail, what is the gut health. Also, we spoke about sleep and dreams, how important and how underrated is sleep in our lives. हम sleep को बहुत ज़्यादा shame करते हैं. But please listen to this podcast to understand that sleep is one of the most important things that you can do in your life. It is the most productive thing that can help you beyond your imagination. Please keep watching till the end and subscribe us for more such interesting content. Hello Prashant, welcome to the Gut Feel Show. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and thank you for having me.
I'm glad to meet you actually, sir. It's been a long time. I was waiting to meet you.
And I love the name, gut feel. And I keep telling people, though a lot of people feel gut feel is actually a feeling, there is a lot of science behind gut feeling. And there is a gut-brain axis and what all that does. And we'll get into that today. But yes, I love the name.
Thank you, sir. This is something which is very, very close to me. For in life, I personally felt the most important decisions of my life were based on the gut feel. And I've never regretted them. So we'll get to more discussion.
We'll go into the science of that.
Yes. I want to begin with your story about the entrepreneurship failure that you mentioned about DeFi. I want to bring out or highlight some learnings from you because India is in the wave of entrepreneurship. A lot of failures happen. It is part and parcel. But what is failure according to you? Can you explain? How can the new generation understand failure? Because we are scared of failure.
Yeah, failure is an interesting dimension. It depends on when you hit with failure at what point of life. Unfortunately, because I lost my dad very early in my life, I won't say I met failure early. But I met a lot of aspects of failure very early on my life. Failure, very simply put, is your ability not to achieve what you wanted to achieve, right? Any venture, for example, starts with a dream, it starts with a vision, and you go out on a path because you want to take that road less traveled, you want to solve a particular problem that you saw, and when you are not able to do that, there is a mindset side of it, the mental side of it, which you say, yeah, you failed and you deal with it. But then there is also a financial side of it. And financial side of the failure is a more black and white thing where you run out of capital to continue to grow, or you make amends or peace with the fact that you don't want to put more money because this is not going to succeed. There is something wrong with it. For a lot of people who are getting into entrepreneurship, my venture taught me something very interesting, that you start a venture for the right reasons. You don't start a venture because everybody else is starting a venture. Either there is a problem that you want to solve, or there is something that is not letting you sleep at night. Either you are very passionate about a product or about a service. We were discussing in the car the other day, and a lot of my nephews, my cousins reach out to me, and everybody wants to become an entrepreneur. And when I tell them, why do you want to become an entrepreneur, they don't have an answer.
Actually, the
Right?
why
It's just that entrepreneurism is becoming sexy nowadays, and hence a lot of people, what I say, don't do it. Another statistics, when I failed and I was reading, I realized that 96% ventures don't succeed,
Yes.
right? So the failure rate is very high when it comes to entrepreneurship. So to that extent, I will tell everybody that if you are not passionate about a product or about a service, or there is not a problem you want to solve in the world, then entrepreneurship is not for you. It is not for the weak-hearted. It is not for people who don't have capital, because you will always start with a high. But when you don't meet that high, the fall is also equally steep, and then it brings out very different challenges, which has very different impact on your personal life as well.
it can open a very dark side.
It does. It does. It does.
I think most of the time, initially, that like you rightly said, it starts with a high, but it doesn't last because you face real life challenges. You step out, you meet the real people, real client, while you were dreaming everything in your head. So I think that thing about passion is something very important, because that is something that light doesn't die. Because if agar passion hai, to aapko, you can sustain ups and downs. I think ups and downs is, I think, part and parcel of entrepreneurship.
And for everyone, it's ups and downs. I just keep telling, because I've spent my career in stock market. Whenever we look at successful stock price charts of a lot of companies, they are never a straight line.
Yes.
They'll always be ups and downs, right? And in the health of parlance, if you see, if your heart rate is a straight line, means you are dead.
Correct.
Right? So that's part of life. But the point is the trend upward or not? That is sometimes we entrepreneurs miss out, right? If you zoom out and see, you will clearly say, is the trend going up or the trend going down? And if you kind of really get a sense that the trend is down, within that up and down is I think, a signal enough for you to realize that it's not working.
So it is important to zoom out.
It's very important to zoom out, yeah. But it's very difficult as well, because you're day in and day out
You're consumed.
into this. It's very difficult to zoom out.
This is all people also talk about in spirituality. Don't be object conscious, be subject conscious, zoom out. I think that is where change begins.
Yes.
So I want to get on to the discussion of sugar. That is something I feel is also very directly related to mental health.
Of course.
Tell me about sugar, and also, like you mentioned, that it was something of the riches earlier. Now it has gone to the masses. What has happened with sugar?
Multiple things have happened. So first, let's understand, why is there a mindset craving for sugar, anything sweet. So if you go back millions of years back, when probably Homo sapiens first came into the earth, their survival was dependent on their ability to find food. And go back to a time when you didn't know which food was good for you, which food was bad for you. And invariably, anything that you saw, you tried to experiment by putting it in their mouth, and people started dying of a lot of diseases, or I would say, you taste a food which has some kind of a poisonous element in it, kills you. I think at that point of time, they realized, whenever I put something which is sweet, it doesn't kill me. And hence the whole craving towards sweet started with the fact that this is something good, it doesn't kill me. From there, the legacy kept becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Initially, it was only fruits, right? Because the only thing that tasted sweet in Mother Nature is fruit. And fruit also is a very interesting, it was a very interesting partnership or a friendship or a Jodi Jai Viru Shole friendship between plants and us. So if you go back again a few thousands of years back, where food was scarce, and you would come into winter where it's very difficult for you to go and forage, you still needed energy to survive through those winters. That is where fruit became your friend. You eat a fruit. Fruit contains sugar or sucrose. 50% of that is fructose, and 50% is glucose. Fructose is where the taste of sweetness comes in. The higher the fructose, the more sweeter is the fruit. Fructose played a very different role for us as mankind to take civilization forward. All the glucose that you see is body's preferred source of energy. So all the glucose that we get even from carbohydrates is converted into energy for us to do our day-to-day work. Fructose is not used for creation of energy. Fructose is used for storage of energy. So all the sweetness from the fruit or the fructose, the body would metabolize and store it as fat, right? That fat during winter months helped us because your body's fuel source is either glucose or fats. When glucose is not, that body becomes metabolically flexible and starts using fat sources. So this partnership way back became as a result to help us survive, and we did survive. But today, what has happened, Prranav, is from a world of scarcity, we've moved into the world of abundance.
Yes.
But the biochemistry of that molecule, fructose, does not change. It is still a molecule for storage. In today's world, when we are eating a lot more sugar, at a time when there is enough food available, the mechanism is still the same. You eat fructose, whether it is in the form of a fruit or fruit juice or sugar or gur or honey or palm sugar or coconut sugar. Inside the body, the fructose part of this will get converted and will get stored as fat. Early days when sugar actually, people started wanting a lot more of the sweet taste, and so in those days sugar was very, very scarce. It was very difficult to make sugar because industrialization had not come, and hence the price of sugar was even more expensive than price of gold. So only the rich people could afford it. And if you go back to 1600s or 1500s, sugar was something that was seen in only kingdoms by kings and queens and popes. It was so rare. And then obviously, so when there is something which is rare, everybody wants it. Somebody will crack a way to kind of process it, and then it became masses. To a level today that I think a kg of sugar costs 22 rupees, and even the poorest of the poor today can have sugar. A 5 rupee biscuit packet now today contains.
And it is a feeling that the more sweet it is, the more richer it is.
The feeling is, it's more than richer. It gives you, there is a chemical, a neurochemical called dopamine, which is somewhere a reward chemical or a pleasure chemical. And that circuitry has come. Every time you eat something sweet, it gives you that feeling of something nice. You'll never get that feeling when you have something bitter or something very spicy. But sugar has that taste. So from your tongue to your nose to your brain, it kind of goes over there. And I guess that's where the habit loop of sugar started. And so if you go back again, before sugar became mainstream, when a child was born, the child got all the nutrient from mother's milk, right? And mother's milk has a finite life till the child starts feeding on solid food. And the moment industrialization came and a lot of these companies came, in that milk that they give, processed milk that they started giving to kids, they started adding sugar. So even today, if you see some of the packaged products that you get, which are fed to infants which are under 6 months old, Cerelac, Pediasure, they started adding sugar. Now imagine you are just born in this world. You started with mother's milk, which does not have any taste. It's neutral. And then the next thing that you taste is sweetness. Your habits are getting formed from 6 months of age.
They're manipulating the mind.
Yes. It's a habit that is being formed, and that is what they want. The moment you pick up a habit as early as 6 months, then you start progressing to solid foods. Then they will serve you the cornflakes of the world. They will serve you the fruit juices of the world. Bread has so much of sugar in it. And then it becomes a habit loop. And once you catch on to the habit which sugar makes you, then it's very difficult to come out of it. And then you start something what we call as craving. And it's very interesting. There was a time I would see my daughter come 4 o'clock. If she doesn't get her cookie, all hell breaks loose. The tantrums that we have seen, and somewhere we are responsible for it, but sugar has both sides to this, right? At one level, it's a pleasure molecule when eaten in moderation. In olden days, हम लोग मिठाई कब खाते थे? जब फेस्टिवल होती थी, दिवाली होती थी, उस सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए. आज के दिन में तो
Diwali is all across now.
We celebrate Diwali 5 times a day because in every food there is sweetness, and hence this whole big challenge around sugar.
So tell me something now. Let's break down this further. This high that the sugar gives, there are also crashes that it causes. So it also is impacting your mental health. It can cause you anxiety, which is what tantrums can also be. So what are the effects on mental health for this?
So first, let's understand the biochemistry behind this. At the end of the day, whatever food we are eating is nothing but chemical energy.
Yes.
When we eat, it gets converted into electrical energy. So as I said, sugar has two components, glucose and fructose. 50% is glucose, 50% is fructose. Fructose, as I said, is a energy storage molecule. Your stomach cannot digest fructose. It goes to the liver and gets converted into liver fat. Before 1980s, kids were very healthy. There was a disease in 1980 called alcoholic fatty liver disease. This was a disease that was only seen in alcoholics because you drink alcohol, you get that. After 1980s, when industrialization started coming, a disease which was hitherto seen only in alcoholics now are seen in kids. In India is not the best keeper of data, so I go back to the US because they keep data very well. I think in urban India it's the same. In US, 50% of overweight kids have NAFLD or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and 22% of all kids have this disease. A disease which was hitherto shown only in alcoholics is now seen in kids. Just imagine what we have done. But so that is the part of the fructose which gets converted into liver fat and NAFLD. The glucose that we eat, it's very interesting. Our body, glucose is our body's preferred source of energy. Right? Brain only survives on glucose.
Yes.
Nothing else can go except ketones maybe. So what happens every time you ingest something, glucose gets released. Our body wants to maintain a very narrow range of this glucose because high is bad, low is bad. So you will have about 5 to 6 liters of blood, and the glucose that you need for survival and any given point of time is 5 grams only, right? So it's called glucose homeostasis. So your blood glucose levels, body wants to maintain 5 grams. Now Pranav goes and has a packet of biscuit with chai, with sugar in it. Suddenly your blood glucose levels spike. The moment you eat that, it goes to the stomach. Stomach acid breaks that down. It gets absorbed in your blood glucose. The level from 5 grams is now rising. The moment this level rises, the body says, boss, this is bad for me. So I don't want so much of blood glucose excess. Why? Because all the excess blood glucose that is circulating in your blood vessel will go and latch onto the proteins called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin transports oxygen to your cells, right, for energy. The moment they go and latch onto the hemoglobin or RBC, it makes this hemoglobins dysfunctional. The moment they become dysfunctional, they start releasing something called as oxidative stress. When this oxidative stress goes and hits your blood vessel lining, it's a single layer lining called endothelial. That endothelial becomes weaker. When that endothelial layer becomes weaker, all the fat and cholesterol which are getting transported from one cell to the other, these molecules are wrapped with a protein called ApoB. They get kind of retained inside the endothelial space. When they get retained in the endothelial space, it's bad news. So body sends the soldiers to get rid of that. So the repair process starts. As the more damage you are causing, the more repair it is happening. The repair site becomes bigger and bigger. It then breaks the endothelial layer and enters the blood vessel. So body says, boss, this is very bad news. So now instead of soldiers, the body starts sending tanks and aeroplanes. The biggest weaponry that body has, B cells and T cells. They come and they start fighting this lesion that is entered. That is where this plaque keeps developing. The moment it goes and blocks the entire vessel is when you will hear you have a heart attack. But it all began because of oxidative stress being released by this part. So body doesn't want this. So body says, ab main kya karu? So we have an organ called pancreas. So pancreas secrete a hormone called insulin. Insulin signals first. So our body is made up of 38 trillion cells. Every single cell has receptors on top of this, GLUT4 receptors. It goes and signals all of them, hey, please take all this excess blood glucose. Pranav has had biscuit with chai. If it remains, I will die. So first, if let's say you have had biscuit and chai and then you go for a run. So all that excess glucose will get used in energy because you need energy, you are running.
Got converted.
Suppose you are sitting in the podcast and you've had biscuit and chai. I don't have any energy to expand. So it's okay, now I need to store this. The biggest organ that we have to store this excess glucose is muscles, right? muscles can, in your case, will store about 400 grams of excess glucose or as glycogen. So muscle में जाके पहले store करता है. You now have more blood glucose. इसे यार अब मैं क्या करूँ, मसल में तो जगह नहीं है, तो इसे ओके भाई अब जाके तो लिवर में स्टोर करना है. बट लिवर कैन स्टोर अबाउट 25% ऑफ मसल्स. इट्स अ स्मॉल ऑर्गन. वहां भी स्टोर कर दिया यार, और बचा है. प्रणव तो खाए जा रहा बिस्किट, अब क्या करूँ भाई, अब जाके फैट सेल्स. Because that was Mother Nature's way to conserve energy so that tomorrow I can use it. Interestingly, you and I are born with the same number of fat cells. Our number of fat cells don't increase.
Oh, is it?
But they are very malleable. It's like a balloon. कुछ इतना बड़ा करना है कर दो. So ये उसमें जा के बलून बड़ा होते जाता है, हम मोटे होते जाते हैं. Body says I prefer obesity to death. ठीक है?
But you think survival में काम आएगा?
Correct. मैंने तो और खाया. मैं तो रुक ही नहीं सकता हूँ बिकॉज सुबह हो गई, सीरियल खाया, 2 घंटे बाद बिस्किट खा ली.
आउट ऑफ हैबिट खाए जा रहे हैं.
मैं तो खाया ही जा रहा हूँ इन दिस वर्ल्ड ऑफ अबंडेंस. तो फैट सेल्स आफ्टर अ व्हाइल दैट balloons will also give up. Then the balloon starts, your fat cells start leaking fat. This is the time when the fat starts surrounding your organs. This is very bad. This fat is called visceral fat or adiposity. ये होता है all hell breaks loose. Now, when you look at it, cells तो हर body में आपके brain में भी है, right? You spoke about what it does to the brain. When you have all this excess fat that starts getting accumulated, when it starts doing that even in the brain, it forms something called as amyloid plaque. Do you know Alzheimer, dementia?
Yeah.
Do you know what is the new name for Alzheimer and dementia?
Diabetes.
Type 3 diabetes.
Yes.
So the reason why you get Alzheimer's, dementia, is because you are feeding yourself more sugar than the body can deal with it. Why? Because blood-brain barrier को तो खाली glucose ही cross कर सकता है. So from a mental state of health, so अभी तो we are just talking about the spike part of it. Now what has happened? Spike हो गया, insulin आया, the work has started. Now when you eat simple carbs like sugars, spike भी फट से आता है, crash भी फट से आता है. The moment there is a crash, your blood glucose level goes below 5 grams. The body is now feeling hungrier.
Even if it is full.
It's not full because जितना था वो तो उसने जाके फैट में स्टोर कर दिया. तो आपके ब्लड वेसल में से that 5 grams value has dropped. So the moment there is a crash, you again feel hungry. Now when you feel hungry, your brain is also hungry, and if you now don't give your kid that cookie, tantrum starts. Because there is a brain fog. Brain wants glucose there, glucose there, glucose there, glucose there.
To maintain that high.
I want that. So now it's become a habit. Every time there is a spike, there is a crash. Spike I love. Which is why you will see sugar rush होता है kids को.
Yes.
When you eat something sugar, दौड़ेंगे, laugh करेंगे, as if you will see what has happened to them. Cocaine ले लिया क्या मेरे बच्चे ने? Sugar is nothing but cocaine for them. It gives them that high, but the crash also happens very fast. Crash happens, now I again want a high. Because if your brain has now got used to dopamine, which is sugar, I keep wanting that dopamine hit. They did that experiment in mice. They put a mice and made the mice drink that sugar water. Mice बाकी सब भूल गया. And the way they do is they put up a liver. Every time you put up a liver, sugar water comes. They forgot eating everything. The mice died. And फिर उस mice को they removed the mice, stopped giving them dopamine. The mice started behaving as if mice is a mental patient in a hospital. पागल हो गया क्योंकि उसको dopamine चाहिए, dopamine hit मिल ही नहीं रहा. So whichever psychedelic you look at, whichever form of drugs you look at, whether it is cocaine, whether it is heroin,
And that's to obsession.
ultimately it goes and gives you some form of pleasure.
Yeah. And then it becomes obsession.
Sugar becomes like that. इसलिए लोग मेरे को तो स्वीट तो होता है नहीं भाई.
So this is also what also leads to binge eating and that craving that people have in these days. Like रात को 12-1 बजे chocolate खाना है, कुछ खाना है.
So मैं बोलता हूँ यार, there is a physiological aspect of it and there is a psychological aspect of it. Physiological aspect is when that 5 gram levels go down.
Correct. I think
Physiological hunger आ गई है, right? आज के दिन में मैं बोलता हूँ physiological hunger कम है but psychological hunger ज़्यादा है.
yes, correct. I want to understand that more. Because it is causing, your mind is triggering things now. Even without the body, mind is triggering it. It's an obsession maybe.
So James Clear wrote this brilliant book, right? The Atomic Habits.
Yes.
And it's very interesting how we came across the name Atomic Habits. So the tiniest of habits, atom is the smallest form. So atomic habits, but it goes and creates an atom bomb for you.
Yeah.
That's what sugar does. And just to think of it, this all started when you were infant, less than 6 months, when you had no sense. And because somebody gave an advertisement, put Cerelac in this or put Pediasure in this, which essentially contained some form of sugar, you got used to it. Then came the fruit juice companies. They started marketing fruit juice as healthy. Just because it has fruit does not mean it is healthy. If you'll actually see the fruit juice packet, don't even say it is fruit juice. They say it's a fruit beverage.
Yeah.
There is only 8%, that also fruit juice concentrate. Rest is only water and sugar. But they show pictures of fruit, and the moment the word fruit juice is there or fruit is written, you think it's healthy. The new trend, fruit smoothie. I did a reel where I said your Starbucks is a sugar factory.
Yeah.
One tall, that cold coffee, frappuccino or what you call, has more sugar than 2 Coke cans.
And especially in India, I've seen it has way more sugar. Configurations are different. I asked them what is your configuration here, and outside the sugar configurations in the same drink are different.
So India and Singapore very different, India and Europe very different, India and US very same. Because capitalistic society, na? You take care of yourself.
You take care.
Caveat emptor, buyer beware. Otherwise, you do whatever you want to do. Whereas Singapore, Europe are very stringent.
They're also taking care of you and the system and everyone in the system. So is marketing also and still also in some parts used as a way to manipulate business, sales for businesses, but compromising the health?
Yeah, it's a tough one to kind of blame it only on them. But yes, we have to be realistic today. We are living in a world where India is also a capitalistic society in many ways, right? Entire world is now capitalistic. Communism is dead in many ways. I'm not saying communism is good, never was, never will. I come from Calcutta. We've seen Calcutta has just gone downwards only because of communism. But from a capitalistic point of view, you have to respect that rules, right? That if you are a capitalist, you will want to make money for your shareholders. Do I have any points of view against a Dabur or against a Nestle or against a Zydus? No, they are doing their job. They have to create value for their shareholders. They are playing by the rules.
Yeah.
The point is these rules need to get redefined, which is where the leadership of the government comes into play.
Yes.
And the day they start redefining these rules, changes will come.
They will modify because the foundation is changing.
Today, what they are saying is, because I come from a world of equity markets, if a company has to go public, you have to file a DRHP, draft red herring prospectus. And what SEBI says is put all the risk factors. So as an investor, you read the risk factors, take your decision. I can't fault that argument. It's the same with FSSAI. उसने बोल दिया ना कोक के कैन में 30 ग्राम शुगर है, अब आप डिसीजन लो.
आपकी अवेयरनेस इंपॉर्टेंट,
राइट? वो आता है ना एडवर्टाइजमेंट, म्यूचुअल फंड सब्जेक्ट टू मार्केट रिस्क, प्लीज read risk factor. But the reality is nobody does that. कोई कोक का कैन न्यूट्रिशनल इंफॉर्मेशन देख के नहीं, कोई रिस्क फैक्टर पढ़ के म्यूचुअल फंड में नहीं डालता है, कोई DRHP देख के, बिकॉज एट सम लेवल यू नो इट इज कम्बरसम. दूसरा, हमको एडुकेट नहीं किया गया है. साहब मेरे को बोलो पढ़ाई करके, बट कैसे पढ़ना किसी ने नहीं सिखाया, राइट? सो इट्स नॉट द आइडियलिस्टिक वर्ल्ड, but all I keep telling people is, and I started my health journey through, I think probably this video or this reel where I said, if you are on an airplane and you go into the cockpit and I tell you to fly the plane, will you be able to fly? There are so many switches, levers, up confused ho jaoge, right? Which is why you need a pilot to fly that plane. But when it comes to health, you have more switches and levers. You don't know HbA1c को देखूं, ब्लड प्रेशर को देखूं, लिपिड प्रोफाइल देखूं,
कुछ नहीं मालूम है एक्चुअली हमको,
राइट? बट यू डोंट हैव अ पायलट. You are the CEO, you are the pilot of your health. So depending on how important your health is to you, you have to start educating yourself.
True. Right.
And which is a journey that some of us have gone into, is let's try and at least educate. You will still go ahead and have your Coke, but now you will go and this Coke I told you 5 grams. One Coke can has 30 grams of sugar. So that education piece needs from all perspective.
So also tell me something where people speak that dark chocolate is good for your heart health. Is it true?
So I always tell people, how can one food be good for heart and how can one food be bad for heart? But does dark chocolate have benefits? The answer to that is clearly yes.
Okay.
So let's go back to chocolate banti kaise. It is through a cacao bean, right? Like any beans.
Yeah.
It's a product of plant. High altitudes में होता है, sunlight होता है. What happens is, like us, plants also have to survive, right? To survive, like we have our defense mechanism, plants also have their defense mechanism. These are called polyphenols in plants. So it is plants' way to fight, which is why the higher the altitude the plant is in, more sun it has to fight, more wind it has to fight for rain. So जितने आप higher altitudes में जाओगे, the plant's ability to fight that mechanism is higher. When I eat that, I also get all those benefits. So plant के defense mechanism थे जो molecules है जो वो सब जब मैं खाता हूँ मेरे को मिलता है. So when you look at a dark chocolate, it again depends on the quality of those beans, where have they been sourced from. The higher the altitude, the more natural they are. What is why natural? So if you are in an altitude, pests, insects, everybody, it's in the wild world, it's survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
Plant को तो उससे भी deal करना besides nature.
It is difficult on
So it is creating, अंदर से they are creating mechanism, juices which is killing that.
They're more resilient basically up there.
Right. वो मरा हुआ pest भी उस beans पे है जो over a period of time अंदर उस. So what you get out of those are a lot of goodness. All the antioxidant. अपने oxidative stress की बात कर रहे थे. Why antioxidant? What does antioxidant do?
Yes, I want to understand.
It basically kills this oxidative stress. अगर आपके body में higher inflammation है, higher oxidative stress है, you eat whole foods which are organic. They have natural antioxidants which will go and fight this oxidative stress. इसीलिए इसको antioxidants बोलते हैं. कोई rocket science नहीं है.
Correct.
The more you are alive, you are creating stress. Stress के कारण inflammation आता है. Inflammation के कारण oxidative stress आता है. उस जब भी आप ऐसे कोई products खाते हो, it helps you reduce that inflammation. So is dark chocolate good for health? Yes. But is dark chocolate only good for health? The answer to that is no. It is good for health in general.
One of the things.
Again, the quality of those beans matter, where you are sourcing. So for example, generally as a principle, because I travel a lot, I will buy my dark chocolate from Europe. European standards when it comes to food safety are the strictest. They came up with very interesting. India में आपको इतना बड़ा कोक मिलता है, यूरोप में उन्होंने इतना ही कैन किया है कोक का.
Allowed नहीं है.
The point is you have an option. आप जब 300 ml का कोक कैन लेते हो, very difficult for you to have 300 ml.
ये आपके पास ऑप्शन नहीं है उसे छोटा लेने का.
But because आपने अब 30-40 रुपए दे दिए हैं, तो हमारी वैल्यू सिस्टम है, मैं फेंक तो नहीं सकता हूँ.
वो जबरदस्ती पीते हैं लोग. एक्चुअली 3/4 के बाद जबरदस्त, हाफ के बाद भी जबरदस्ती पीते हैं.
So यूरोप में they came up with this can. पी लिया और पीना है तो और एक लेना, no problem. So I source my cacao or my dark chocolate from there. Now dark chocolate has different proportion. If it is only purely made of those beans, it is 100% dark. अगर आप उसको खाओगे तो extremely bitter taste आएगा.
I tried 99%.
Where is that bitterness coming from? Why is coffee tasting bitter? All the phytonutrients, because of so much of strength in that, gives that bitter feeling. तो bitterness अपने को अच्छी नहीं लगती है. तो कोई होशियार ने उस टाइम में बोला यार बिटरनेस को कट करने के लिए थोड़ी चीनी डाल देते हैं. बोला यार हाँ फिर भी इसको देखने में तो बहुत डार्क लग रहा है, ये
थोड़ा सा लाइट,
थोड़ा मिल्क डाल देते हैं और लाइट हो जाएगा. So as you add more milk and as you add more sugar, the darkness of the chocolate keeps coming down, and which is where you get the 5 rupee dairy milk.
Correct.
But पहले या यूरोप की डेयरी मिल्क आप खा लो, स्विट्जरलैंड में सेम कंपनी बनाती है, इंडिया में खा लो, जमीन आसमान का फर्क. बिकॉज वहाँ डेयरी मिल्क आज भी डेयरी से बनती है, मिल्क से बनती है. यहाँ क्योंकि मेरे को 5 रुपए में डेयरी मिल्क खानी है, वो मिल्क को मैंने सब्स्टिट्यूट कर दिया वेजिटेबल ऑयल्स के साथ. सो इट्स आई स्टिल फील इट इज नॉट रॉन्ग इन मेनी वेज. द रीजन इज हम लोग गरीब कंट्री.
आई थिंक दैट कंजम्पशन कॉन्शियसनेस कि आप क्या कंज्यूम कर रहे हो वो नहीं है कहीं भी. मतलब
टाइम लगेगा. आज इंडिया की जीडीपी अगर $50,000 होती तो चेंज हो गया होता, बिकॉज अगर मैं $50,000 साल का कमाता हूँ देन आई डोंट वांट टू ईट अ 5 रुपी डेयरी मिल्क.
Correct.
I pay my driver 20,000 rupees a month. He has a family, he has kids. Today television is there. He is also seeing chocolate, he also craves chocolate, he also craves Domino's, he also craves. यार aspiration तो human mindset है ना. अब उसकी aspiration meet करने के लिए I think वेजिटेबल ऑयल डाल के भी अपने चॉकलेट बनी ना, वो बच्चा खुश है कि मैं चॉकलेट खा रहा हूँ.
क्योंकि उसका ड्रीम सेटिस्फाई हो गया.
एटलीस्ट एक एस्पिरेशन तो मिली
Aspiration satisfied
मेरे
हो
को.
गया. Correct.
दैट इज नथिंग रॉन्ग, बट द पॉइंट इज it is still called dairy milk and you are eating thinking there is dairy in this. So hey, we have challenges of our country. Whenever you have a country which is like India, where you have a complex democracy, you will have corruption is part of our society. So जहाँ पर inequality होगी वहाँ corruption होगा, जहाँ corruption होगा वहाँ इस तरह से rules set होते जाएंगे. So I can't sit here and complain.
Better raise awareness.
गांधी जी ने कहा ना, be the change you wish to see.
Yes.
So let's do. कहीं ना कहीं वो बदलाव आएगा
बिल्कुल.
over a period of time. So dark chocolate, answer to that is it is good provided you know where you have sourced the cacao beans.
That awareness is important.
That awareness is also, you have to understand what a 99% dark means, what a 85% dark means. I generally tell people, if you are buying dark chocolate, why are you buying? Not because it's a fad. You are buying dark chocolate because आपको मिल्क कम खाना है, शुगर कम खाना है. तो जैसे ही मिल्क और शुगर ऐड करते हो डार्क नॉर्मल हो जाती है.
करेक्ट.
तो फिर डिसाइड कर लो यार कि यार अब मैं
आप ऐसे
इसी के लिए
कान
कर
पकड़
रहा
रहे
हूँ,
हो.
80% डार्क खाता हूँ एटलीस्ट.
Right.
फिर बोलने के लिए डार्क और फिर 50% डार्क है, डजंट रियली मेक. सो दैट वे.
Understood. So these all things that the industry is doing, a lot of things are happening. Food is misunderstood. The awareness is lacking. इस सब का direct impact without our awareness also goes to the gut, and which also is directly related to our thinking, the mind also, the gut-mind axis. Tell me about the consequences of what lack of awareness causes to the gut and then also our thought process.
Brilliant question, Pranav. So first, let's understand what the gut is. So our gut, unlike a lot of people think this is the gut, our gut starts from our mouth and ends at our anus.
Yes.
This is a friendship that we formed with our gut bacteria even before humans came. And this friendship was very simple. We told the bacteria, we will give you a place to live inside our body. We will also feed you. But you also have to take care of me.
Yeah.
You have to fight all the infections in my body. You have to give me all the nutrients from all the food. तू अपना खाना खाना उसमें से निकाल के मेरे को भी अपना nutrient देना, which maintains my structure and integrity. ये friendship तब की बनी हुई है, which is why gut bacteria resides.
Very nicely
challenge,
imagined. Right.
but we are nothing, Pranav, but a bacteria on legs, right? Because we are only filled with, from the time, so when you are inside your mother's womb, it's a sterile environment. The moment you come out of the vagina, all the bacteria keeps inundating. Bacteria is not a bad thing. These are your friends. They are coming to help you because of that friendship. Very interesting.
I love the storytelling you have. I just love it. Because the way you are telling me, I am sort of visualizing it.
Oh, is it?
I'm really enjoying it. Sorry to break.
No, not at all. So it's very interesting. So what do you call a good gut in a sense? So there is nothing called as a good gut. The diversity of the bacteria determines how good or bad your gut is. Okay. So say you were a normal child and somebody else was a C-section child. You will have better gut diversity than a C-section child because the first bacteria that you get is through the vaginal canal. Right? C-section को तो वो मिला ही नहीं. In US, now kids that are C-section born, they take mother's vaginal swab and put it on the child so that they get the good bacteria.
Oh.
Right? So it starts there. Process वहाँ शुरू होता है. Then आपने kid को घर लेके आए, right? How many people carry you as a child determines your diversity of gut bacteria. More family members carry you as a child, the more diverse or good gut you have. You allow your kid to play in the mud, you will have more better gut bacteria because all the gut bacteria from that mud comes and is building the forest inside your gut. You play with a pet, you will have a better gut guide. So
I really want to highlight these 2 points because a lot of this post-COVID hygiene thing is also spoiling this thing, that everyone wants to keep things clean, even surroundings of the baby clean. मिट्टी में नहीं जाना है, pet से नहीं खेलना है. I think this is spoiling the gut bacteria.
100% correct. One of your biggest enemy of a gut bacteria is sanitizer.
Yeah.
जब आप सैनिटाइज करते हो, यहाँ से जो आपको गुड बैक्टीरिया मिल रहे थे, आपने इनको मार डाला. आप होम को ज्यादा सैनिटाइज करते हो, साफ कर लो,
पूरे दिन हाथ धो रहे हैं.
गुड बैक्टीरिया फ्रॉम देयर. So one of the protocols to have a good gut is to ensure that, यार, if you've kind of played in a mud water जहाँ bad pathogens भी है, बारिश आई, उस पे खेला, तो प्लीज हाथ धो लो. But don't be so this thing about it that every time you make your kid, right? So why did your immunity levels post-COVID fell down? Because of excess use of this. Because your gut plays a direct role on our immunity. But just to kind of close in from where you are coming. So our gut keeps forming as a child. And एक बार ये कॉलोनी सेट हो जाती है, ये बदलेगी. बट बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं बदलती है, बट एक डाइवर्सिटी हो जाती है. एक इन्होंने बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग एक्सपेरिमेंट किया. नॉर्दर्न टांजानिया में देयर इज अ ट्राइब कॉल्ड द हड्जा ट्राइब. वो आज भी दे लिव लाइक हंटर गैदरर्स, राइट? They eat like hunter gatherers. And one of your biggest modifying factors for your gut bacteria or your good gut is food or diet. And I'll come to that in a minute. जब उनको इन्होंने देखा तो उसमें they found 770 different species of bacteria. They took the gut of a modern Californian. They had 270. Now, what has changed between the Hadza tribe and these guys? Your diet has changed. Today you have more processed. So when you asked me this, so you have to keep your gut happy. Hippocrates said 2000 years back, all diseases begin in the gut. I will say they also end in the gut. I will just add that. The reason is when you eat food, so this gut needs to be fed. अगर ये gut को आपने feed नहीं किया, maximum of your gut bacteria reside in your intestine, right? So that food has to travel to the intestine. When you have simple carbohydrate like a bread or a pasta or a roti or a rice, this gets absorbed only from the stomach. The stomach का जो acid है वो इसको break down करके आ जाता है. ये खाना हमारे gut में बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं पहुँचता है.
Okay.
So gut का भी अपना diet है. इसको मैं gut का diet को मैं Mac diet बोलता हूँ.
Oh wow, I want to know this.
It's not McDonald's diet, but it's called microbiota accessible carbohydrates, which is nothing but insoluble fiber, which is nothing but vegetables, fruits, nuts, pulses, seeds.
This is for the gut.
For the gut. ये जब आप insoluble fiber खाते हो, your stomach cannot process it. So stomach इसको transfer कर देता है to the intestine. This is where your bacteria lives. ये उनका खाना है. आपने क्यूकम्बर, टमेटो, सब्जियां खाई, उसमें से जितना फाइबर निकला वो आपके लिए नहीं है मेरे भाई, वो आपके गट के लिए है, क्योंकि हमने उसको प्रॉमिस किया था वील कीप यू वेल फेड, राइट? सो हमारे जो बैक्टीरिया है ना, इसको हम लोग प्रोबायोटिक्स बोलते हैं. हमारे दही में भी प्रोबायोटिक होता है, लाइव बैक्टीरिया जो इसको हम लोग बोलते हैं. आप दही को माइक्रोस्कोप के नीचे देखोगे तो आपको लाइव बैक्टीरिया दिखेगा. दिस इज प्रोबायोटिक्स, राइट? जो वेजिटेबल हम लोग खाते हैं इसको प्रीबायोटिक बोलते हैं. ये प्रोबायोटिक का खाना है, ठीक है? जब हमारे प्रोबायोटिक्स गट बैक्टीरिया को हम प्रीबायोटिक देते हैं, वो लोग जो पॉटी करते हैं उसको हम लोग पोस्टबायोटिक्स बोलते हैं. व्हाट दे सीक्रेट इज शॉर्ट चेन फैटी एसिड, वन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट ऑफ देम बीइंग ब्यूटरेट. हमारे जो विटामिन मिनरल्स जो हम लोग बोलते हैं खाने में है, खाने में हमको कैसे मिलते हैं? जब ये खाना जब प्रीबायोटिक हमारा जाता है और ये पोस्टबायोटिक रिलीज करते हैं, उसमें से ये सारा विटामिन को ऑब्जॉर्व करके रिलीज करता है. दैट इज द फ्रेंडशिप दैट हैपेंड. आई विल फीड यू, यू विल टेक केयर ऑफ माई हेल्थ. हमारे ब्रेन में ऑलमोस्ट 100 बिलियन न्यूरॉन्स है. अवर गट हैज ओवर 500 मिलियन न्यूरॉन्स, सिमिलर न्यूरॉन. And both these are connected to the gut-brain axis, to the vagus nerve. That gut feeling is actually not a feeling. It is this neuron sending a message to the brain. जब हमारा gut sense, when they are well fed, they can sense bad bacteria, pathogens जिसको हम बोलते हैं. वो जैसे पैथोजन सेंस करता है, ये 500 मिलियन न्यूरॉन मैसेज देते हैं ब्रेन को, अटैक. Brain then goes and tells the spinal to भाई B cell T cell को निकाल, मारना है, दुश्मन आ गए. शुरुआत गट से होती है. Happiness,
Intuition, all these things.
serotonin, neurochemical, which gives you sense of happiness, good mood.
Yes.
Prranav looks happy today. All the serotonin is released by the gut bacteria, and it goes and travels and tells your brain, I am happy, all is well.
All is well.
When you feel very angry, very depressed, your gut is telling the brain, all is not well. Butterflies in the stomach is a real feeling. There are GABA factors. There is a TAMO. When your gut is leaky gut. What do you mean by leaky gut? If your gut is not fed, वो भूखे तो नहीं रहने वाले बैक्टीरिया. तो हमारे जो इंटेस्टाइन की लाइनिंग होती है उसको म्यूकस लाइनिंग बोलती है. ये म्यूकस लाइनिंग को खाना शुरू कर देते हैं. जब ये खाना शुरू कर देते हैं तो वो लाइनिंग में छेद हो जाते हैं. इट लीक्स. सो आपके ये जो बैक्टीरिया है विच आर प्रोटेक्टेड बाय द इंटेस्टाइन की म्यूकस लाइनिंग, व्हेन दे स्टार्ट लीकिंग इज व्हेन यू गेट लीकी गट. एंड ये जब लीक होते हैं तो ब्लड स्ट्रीम में रिलीज हो जाते हैं ना. They are now going where they were not supposed to go. All hell breaks loose.
Wow.
Manifestation, constipation. Manifestation, loose motion, watery motions, because it wants to deal. So to keep your gut happy is very important, because gut ke sath all your health parameters are linked. So they saw very interesting things. People who had leaky gut over a period of time, they suffered from more heart attacks.
Is it?
And they could measure this. So there is a molecule called TAMO that gets released. So people who have a leaky gut, उसके blood में there were more TAMO molecules. And हमारा gut को यार बहुत कुछ नहीं चाहिए. वो बेचारा he is very happy with two things. उसको फाइबर खिला दो, उसको fermented food खिला दो, और नींद दे दो उसको. When you sleep for 8 hours, all these gut bacteria get the rest. आप खाते जा रहे हो, वो भी बेचारा मेहनत किए.
कभी भी खा लेते हो उसको, कभी भी काम पे लगा देते हो.
एक तो जब आप कभी भी खाते हो तो आप प्रोटीन तो खाओगे नहीं, आप फाइबर तो खाओगे नहीं, आप कार्ब्स और शुगर ही खा रहे हो, तो उसको खाना मिल ही नहीं रहा. वो बेचारा देख रहा है खाना आ रहा है, साला मेरे पास नहीं आ रहा है, और गुस्सा हो जाता है.
इसमें वन थिंग दैट यू मेंशन, जो डाइट है गट की, द वेजिटेबल्स एंड द नट्स एंड ऑल्सो, कोई उसका प्री रिक्विजिट है, सम सजेशन कैसे खाना चाहिए? ओवर कुक तो नहीं होना चाहिए. आई थिंक सम
आप कुछ भी कर लो, वो वेजिटेबल स्टमक उसको डाइजेस्ट ही नहीं कर पाएगा. इट विल हैव टू गो टू द गट.
हाँ, मतलब व्हाट इज बेटर, सिर्फ सॉटे करके खाना या फिर हाउ डू यू सजेस्ट? एनीवे,
what happens is the reason why when you not overcook the vegetable, when you overcook the vegetable, you just eat it. So your mouth में we have a bacteria, oral gut bacteria. जो माउथ के बैक्टीरिया ओरल बैक्टीरिया है. जब आप च्यू करते हो तो ये बैक्टीरिया उसके साथ जुड़ जाते हैं. इट स्टार्ट्स प्रोसेसिंग दिस फाइबर फ्रॉम स्टार्ट, देन इसोफेगस में जाते हैं, फिर स्टमक में ये लोग भी मर जाते हैं बिकॉज एसिडिक एनवायरनमेंट है. जब आप ओवर कुक्ड खाते हो, इसीलिए बच्चे को ओवर कुक्ड फूड देते हैं, बिकॉज अभी गट बैक्टीरिया डेवलप नहीं हुआ है. तो वो सीधा please go to the gut so that they get food, they get developed. But by and large, eat any form of vegetable anyway. आपको कच्चा खाना है, आप कच्चा खाओ. मिड सॉटेड खाना है, सॉटेड खाओ. कुक्ड खाना है, कुक्ड खाओ. No problem.
ठीक है.
But खाओ vegetable. Minimum requirement is 25 grams of fiber, which means आपको 40-50 ग्राम vegetable खाने पड़ेंगे. 90% of Indians eat less than 10 grams.
And is that also what is leading to IBS?
100%. IBS is nothing but your gut telling, भाई खाना दे दे मेरे को. Your gut prints your health report card every morning. 60% of your gut gets secreted out in your poop in the morning and gets rebuilt with the food that you give. It's the single biggest modifiable factor, your diet, for the gut. आप सुबह खाली 30 सेकंड अपना पूप देख लो, आपको पता चल जाएगा आपका गट खुश है कि नहीं. फॉर योर लिसनर्स, दे कैन डू अ ब्रिस्टल स्टूल चेक. देयर आर 7 फॉर्म्स. तो आइडिया हो जाएगा. द मोमेंट यू सी वाटरी, मोमेंट यू सी कॉन्स्टिपेटेड, योर गट इज, व्हाट यू एट इज नॉट रिस्क. जस्ट चेंज दैट, यू आर फाइन.
सो जैसे आपने बोला, द गट सेज sleep is also important. Also tell me, why is sleep important for mental health?
I think इस पे अपने को एक पूरा अलग पॉडकास्ट करना चाहिए. I can actually write a book on why sleep, but it's interesting and very important. The reason for that I feel is just think about it. We are nothing but a product of evolution, right? एक टाइम था जब हम चार और पैर पे चलते थे लाइक एनी अदर एनिमल. फिर सडनली हम लोग को दो हुए. पहले हमारे हाथ बड़े थे, हमारे जॉस बड़े थे, हमारा ब्रेन एकदम छोटा था. एज वी स्टार्टेड कुकिंग फूड, जॉस कम हो गए, माथे को बड़ी जगह मिली, ब्रेन डेवलप हुई, इसलिए आज हम मॉडर्न ह्यूमंस है. वी आर नथिंग बट अ प्रोडक्ट ऑफ इवोल्यूशन, राइट? I think Homo sapiens came about 300,000 years back. Plants came 460 million years back. If you look at anything that is living, there is one thing in evolution that has remained constant is sleep.
Yeah.
I think where a common sense had.
Yeah. Has been there forever.
कुछ तो reason होगा that after 16 hours of awake, Mother Nature puts you to sleep. And not just you, any bloody living thing has to sleep. If you don't sleep, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
Right? हम लोग in India sleep as a social image issue.
Correct.
I tell people, sleep or you will die. There's nothing to feel good about if you've slept for 4 hours. In corporate workplaces, undersleep is celebrated, even rewarded.
Yeah.
Right? It's like saying, मैं rape करके आया and you get a reward. Sorry, bhai. So sleep has a lot of challenges. But what does sleep do for us, right? Why is it that Mother Nature puts us to sleep for 8 hours? And so there are a lot of roles that sleep fills. There is not a single bodily function that does not get a massive acceleration during sleep. So we sleep in two phases. First phase is called non-rapid eye movement sleep or NREM sleep. जब हम लोग शुरू में सोने जाते हैं, this proportion is very high. We sleep in 90-minute cycles.
Okay.
सेकेंड फेज में जब हम जाते हैं तो हमको रेम स्लीप आती है, रैपिड आई मूवमेंट, हॉरिजॉन्टल मूवमेंट होते हैं उसके. एंड हर एक का एक महत्व है. देयर इज अ रीजन व्हाई मदर नेचर. सो लॉट ऑफ पीपल फील यार मेरी आज रेम स्लीप कम थी, आई ट्रैक माई स्लीप थ्रू माई वूप. नो, रेम स्लीप कम थी डजंट मीन इट इज गुड और बैड. यू नीड बोथ. सो व्हेन यू go to hit the bed, you first enter into light stages of sleep. Then you get into deep sleep, the NREM stages of sleep. Now, when you look at the NREM stages of sleep, what is it trying to do? You and I are talking every second. Our eyes and our brain is getting 11 million bytes of information. Now, imagine 16 hours awake, how much information brain is getting. Brain का भी अपना RAM है, एक capacity है to remember. So when you enter into deep sleep, it is cleaning up the RAM. Now, you and I are talking, your brain is getting a lot of information from all around.
Yeah.
But depending on to what information you are giving a certain importance or a focus, your brain is tagging important to Prranav, important to Prranav, important to Prranav. आपको important नहीं है मैंने blue t-shirt पहना है, तो that is not important. Important नहीं है मेरे पास ये, not important. Important नहीं है, so it is tagging important, not important. When you get into the NREM phase of sleep, all the unimportant are put in recycle bin. The RAM clear कर दी.
Oh, tags read okay and they segregate.
Right? जो important है, brain again puts and stores it in a folder from where you can retrieve it.
Whenever
I will ask you, Prranav, tell me one thing which has given you most happiness in your life. What will you say? Or one memory that you remember most?
playing football in
When?
school.
School.
Yeah.
Why do you remember?
Because I hated class.
But why do you, how could you in 1 second retrieve that memory?
Because
That
it's very, very core memory to me. Like
Because
it's
brain stored it in a folder
Yeah,
and said this is extremely important to Prranav, such that even at this age Prranav goes back and retrieves that information.
if I see the core memory box, this is the first and the biggest box I have.
When you eat excess sugar, you have amyloid plaque and you have dementia, Alzheimer, same Prranav, same memory, you cannot remember.
Connections get loose.
So there is a mathematical formula to memory. At the end of the day, everything is information. We spoke 11 million bytes.
Yes.
Information multiplied by emotion is equal to memory.
Oh yes. Core that is
वो फुटबॉल में ऐसे इमोशंस जुड़े हुए थे तो ब्रेन ने बोला यार ये तो प्रणव को पूरी जिंदगी याद रखना है.
इसमें सबसे ज्यादा खुश था तो just remember it as
But ये प्रोसेस नींद में ब्रेन ने प्ले किया.
तभी ये हुआ.
Your brain is 2% of your body weight. But it consumes 20% energy. उतना एक्टिव ऑर्गन है. अब सुबह जब पॉटी करने जाते हो ना, दैट इज 80% ऑफ न्यूट्रिएंट. वेयर इज दिस पॉटी गोइंग? बिकॉज ब्लड ब्रेन बैरियर है, वो तो नीचे नहीं आ सकता है, वो एक्सक्रीट नहीं हो सकता है. वो पॉटी ब्रेन में ही है. सो जब आप सोते हो डीप फेज में, आपके जो फर्स्ट एनरेम फेज में, सो पता है मलेरिया वगैरह होता है तो वो म्यूनिसिपैलिटी वो वैन्स बेचती है जहाँ से वो धुआं छोड़ती है हर एक लेन में.
Yes, yes, yes.
जब आप फर्स्ट फेज ऑफ स्लीप में जाते हो, ब्रेन भी वो व्हीकल भेजता है कि ये सारा प्लाक को निकालो, सारी पॉटी को साफ करो.
Clearance होता है.
अब अगर आपने एनरेम फेज ऑफ स्लीप को अच्छे से नहीं किया तो पॉटी रह जाएगी. ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम ये एमोलॉइड प्लाक बिल्ड होता है, जिसको आप अल्जाइमर्स बोलते हो या डिमेंशिया बोलते हो.
So that
People who
first
don't
phase is
sleep.
equally important, the NREM.
People who don't sleep well will get Alzheimer, whether they like it or not. तो केमिस्ट्री है ऊपर में, रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है.
It's a matter of time, I think.
Except compounding, right? Your memory, learning, creativity, all of this, all the motor neurons in the brain completely get reset when you sleep. अब रेम फेज में आते हैं, सेकेंड फेज में आते हैं, राइट? योर मूड. REM sleep was Mother Nature's way to deal with trauma, depression, anxiety, anger, upsetness. Just go back to hunter-gatherer days. आप गए हंट करने, बिकॉज अगर नहीं हंट किया तो बच्चों को खाना नहीं मिलेगा.
Correct.
बट उस एनिमल ने आके आपको जकड़ के आपका एक वो कर लिया. नाउ यू आर शिट स्कैर्ड टू हंट.
Got trauma.
Right? If you now don't deal with this, you can't go to hunt.
Yeah.
Your kids will die. When you sleep, you keep replaying this. And Mother Nature allows you to overcome this. When you are depressed, when you are sad, when you have suicidal tendency, what is the first line of medication? Sleep medicine.
So is it like therapy happening in REM sleep?
It is therapy. REM sleep. When you see when they put electrodes in the brain and measured the sleep waves, it's like REM sleep wave are like this. It's a symphony. Coma patients होते हैं ना, it's exactly the same. So brain puts you in coma because it wants you to deal with this trauma.
It wants to create an atmosphere where you can deal with it.
When I lost my brother in 2014, he was 35.
Okay.
His wife, she was sleeping 18 hours, 20 hours. It is the only way to deal with this. If you are not sleeping, your ability to deal with anger, with upsetness, with disappointments, with sadness is far lower than somebody who sleeps for 8 hours. Studies have been done. Underslept couples fight more. Look at divorce rates. Within that, very clear indication. The more people are getting divorced, are more people who are undersleeping.
I think the productivity of sleep is underrated. There's a lot
Everything
happening.
about sleep is underrated. मैं तो बोलता हूँ, हमको तो हम समझ ही नहीं पा रहे हैं कि ये मैजिक क्या है. यार 1/3 of our life we are sleeping, प्रणव. कुछ तो रीजन होगा ना यार.
मतलब जितना इम्पोर्टेंस हम कॉलेज जाने पे, जॉब करने पे दे रहे हैं, स्लीप करने पे कोई नहीं दे रहा.
कोई नहीं दे.
सब बोल रहे हैं छोड़ दो, कम कर दो.
If you are undersleeping, you will get fat. बहुत सिंपल है. हमारे पास दो हार्मोन्स होते हैं, ग्रेलिन एंड लेप्टिन. Ghrelin is our hunger hormone, leptin is our satiety hormone. When you are undersleeping, and undersleep is, so what is sleep? 8 hours, 7 to 9 hours of sleep, right? If you are sleeping less than 6 hours consistently, your ghrelin levels, which is your hunger hormone levels, go up by 28%. आपको और भूख लगेगी. Your leptin levels, which is your satiety levels, go down by 18%. Both put together, cumulative disaster is you are perpetually hungry. But that's not more important. When you are underslept and very hungry, 33% chance you want to eat obesogenic foods, which will make you fat. But even worse, Prranav, is the fact that when you are underslept, you will have a 33% more craving for obesogenic foods, sugary foods. You will have 45% increase in your craving फॉर सॉल्टेड फूड्स तो आप चिप्स और कोला या पिज्ज़ा या पास्ता ही खाओगे.
By default, you're set to spoil your gut.
केमिकल हार्मोनल है, कब कुछ नहीं कर सकते हो. When you are under sleeping, your pancreas are still active. It's not getting chance to rest, which is where you become insulin resistant.
So listening to you, I feel that to everything to improve in your health, sleep is a prerequisite.
Correct. And you are so right. I tell people, a lot of people come to me for advice. I tell them, are you sleeping for 8 hours? जैसे पहले वो correct
क्योंकि
करके.
बात का तो तब सुधार होगा ना जब आपका sleep पहले से.
If you are not sleeping, it doesn't matter how good you eat, how much you exercise. Nothing matters.
पर
कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला.
इंडिया में सब हम बड़े हुए हैं सुनते हुए कि दिन में सोते हो तो निकम्मे हो, नकारा हो, ये सब सुनते हुए बड़े हुए हैं. Is what I think it is. जैसे body shaming होता है ना, sleep shaming भी होता है.
Correct. You are absolutely right. You know there is something called as a NASA nap.
NASA?
Nap. So NASA, if you are a astronaut at NASA, it is compulsory for you to take an afternoon nap. Otherwise, you can't join NASA.
Oh wow, I never knew that.
वो तो पागल नहीं है ना.
No way.
एक कब में तो नहीं है astronauts. Because when you sleep, take a nap. In afternoon, your system is getting rejuvenated. Control Alt L.
Yeah.
Computer is ready to work. US Army, Navy SEALs. NAP is a protocol. It's not a passive protocol. It's an active protocol. भूल से ऑफिस में आपने 20 मिनट का नैप ले लिया,
गए आप.
बोनस पे इम्पैक्ट आने वाला है.
आपके फेस पे नींद ना दिख जाए, मतलब आपने नैप लिया
In
है.
Japan, as part of your school curriculum, kids they have to nap compulsory. हमारे में भी था यार. आफ्टरनून में हम लोग आधा घंटा सो जाते थे.
हटा दिए गए थे.
But it always begins with, it starts at a mindset level only, na? When you are in REM sleep, one part we discussed, right? Your ability to deal with trauma, grief, anger, upsetness. Second part of REM sleep is dreaming. Dream. There is a reason why we dream. उस ड्रीम में उसने उस एनिमल को कम्बैट किया कि उसको ताकत मिली, मैं कल जाके उस एनिमल से फाइट करूंगा. Heard of theory of relativity? Einstein was not getting answers. थक गया था. He had too much of information. He got his answer on theory of relativity in dreams. Frankenstein was written in dreams. Google, Larry Page wanted to do something but नहीं समझ में आ रहा था मैं क्या बनाऊं. ड्रीम्स में आंसर आया गूगल. केमिस्ट्री के पीरियोडिक टेबल got created in dreams.
Is that what is lucid dreams, or where you can think of ideas?
We don't know because you have to measure that.
Yeah.
We have to put electrodes and dream. But what I'm saying is dreaming is real. It is in dream when your brain is trying to make sense. Because आपने brain को problem feed कर दिया कि यार मेरे को ये आंसर चाहिए, मिल नहीं रहा है. फिर brain when you are sleeping in deep dream sleep is trying to make those connections, जिसको हम pattern recognition बोलते हैं, जिसका manifestation जो हम लोग read करते हैं वो creativity. So your process of creativity gets a big boost when you are sleeping through dreams.
So is this also dreams याद रहना जरूरी है? Because I don't remember dreams.
ऐसा जरूर.
I sleep pretty well. My sleep is really nice. मतलब since college everyone was a night outer. मेरा 10 बजे I doze off. I think it's my body type. I don't know because I just cannot do a night out. आज तक नहीं हुआ मुझसे. I sleep by 10, 11 hardly. 12 बजे तो आँख लाल हो जाती है. So I sleep by 10. I get up 6. मतलब 8 hours का normal average sleep है. But very rarely do I remember dreams. एक दो बार याद रही हैं तो वो I have seen them in real happening, but I don't remember dreams.
And it is okay. It is not necessary to remember unless you want to remember.
How, like you
How
sleep
do you remember
with this
is you keep a journal next to you.
Okay.
And before you sleep, you tell yourself कि आज मैं ड्रीम करूंगा, उसको याद रखूंगा. So you've already told your brain मेरे को ड्रीम को रिमेंबर करना है. आपने ब्रेन को एक प्रॉब्लम दे दिया. Gradually over a period of time, you'll start remembering your dreams. When you dream, can you imagine why we don't act out our dreams? कोई हिंदी पिक्चर देख के आए, मारा मारी का आपके ड्रीम में डूम डूम मारा मारी चल रही है. मेरे को क्रिकेट का बहुत शौक था, मैं ड्रीम में कवर ड्राइव मार रहा हूँ. बट मैं तो When you are in dream state, यहाँ से आपका stem से every night Mother Nature makes you paralytic. क्योंकि ड्रीम में आपको लग रहा है मैं तो विंडो से कूद जाऊंगा, अगर ये नहीं किया तो सच्ची में कूद जाऊंगा. Which is why you can't act out your dreams.
बट कभी कभी डर के आँख खुल जाती है.
माइंड में आप एक्ट आउट कर रहे हो. इट इज मदर नेचर्स वे ऑफ डीलिंग विद इट. माइंड में मैंने तो जाके वो लायन को मार दिया ताकि मैं कल हंट कर सकूं.
तो डर चला जाए, दैट ट्रॉमा गोज अवे.
सो ड्रीम एनहांसेस क्रिएटिविटी. व्हाई डू दे से स्लीप ओवर इट?
People say sleep over it, but sleep is something that people shame.
If your students are watching your podcast, right, and आपके एग्जाम्स आ रहे हैं, right, read a chapter and sleep for 20 minutes. You will remember it. Because you have told your brain, मेरे को समझना है. आपने पढ़ लिया, आप उसको शांति दो. लर्निंग एनहांस करेगा, मेमोरी एनहांस करेगा. सब ड्रीम्स में होता है. बट वो ड्रीम के लिए आपको रेम, रैपिड आई मूवमेंट होता है. आपकी आई बॉल्स ऑसिलेट होती है फटाफट फटाफट फटाफट, बिकॉज आप एक्ट कर रहे हो. इट्स एन एक्टिव स्टेट. सो जब आप जाते हो तो डीप में शॉर्ट टर्म लॉन्ग टर्म मेमोरी, ऑल एमिलॉइड प्लाक इज गेटिंग क्लीन्ड. यू आर डीलिंग विथ वॉट एवर प्रॉब्लम्स इन योर लाइफ टू ड्रीमिंग एंड देन यू कम आउट ऑफ स्लीप. बट ये एवरी 90 मिनट होता है. Because we sleep in 90-minute cycles. In the first phase, you have very high proportion of NREM sleep, very less REM sleep. Later part, you have very high REM. So जब मैं early morning flight लेता हूँ, तो मैं सो तो गया टाइम पे, लेकिन उठा 4 बजे, तो I missed out on my REM sleep.
REM sleep, yes.
Both are important. But something interesting you spoke, right? Yeah, I can't stay awake at night. I need to whatever, right? So there is a sleep chronotype. We have morning people, we have evening people, we have in between people. कहीं नहीं लिखा है that you have to sleep at 10. कहीं नहीं लिखा है because you sleep at 10 you are good. So science has a definition of good quality sleep, and it consists of 4 things: quantity 8 hours, quality both REM and NREM. Then there is something called as consistency. If you are not consistent with 7 to 9 hours of sleep, it doesn't matter.
Correct.
And fourth is timing. This timing comes from what chronotype you are.
It has to be the same every day.
So you are a chronotype. आप वैसे ही सोओगे. And very simple. Your guests can go to something called as MEQ, morning evening questionnaire.
Okay.
And आपको 19 क्वेश्चन ऑनेस्टली आंसर करो, बता देगा मॉर्निंग टाइप हो या इवनिंग टाइप हो या इन बिटवीन हो. And whenever they did a random trial, they realized 1/3 people are morning, 1/3 are evening, 1/3 are in between. So if you are somebody sleeping at 10, कोई आपने तीर नहीं मारा है. You are sleeping as per your chronotype, but sleep as per your chronotype.
Yeah. I genuinely fall asleep around that time. So that is also where some therapists do dream therapy. Is that where they're reprogramming in the deep sleep state?
Correct.
Okay. Because
Dream is Mother Nature's way of dealing you with
yeah,
problems.
fixing things.
And क्या है, जब आप एक्सटर्नल हेल्प लेते हो, सप्लीमेंटल हेल्प लेते हो टू गो टू स्लीप, and it puts you in sleep, you again go through in the 90-minute cycles only.
Yeah.
That's the best way to deal with.
And I think you're also touching base with your subconscious mind in that state.
ड्रीम में और क्या है?
Yeah, which is also very powerful in manifestation.
100%.
And if that subconscious is disturbed because of disturbed sleep or disturbed dream, maybe so your maybe manifestations will also be disturbed.
Correct. Because your eye is shut, right? So you're not having any inputs coming to the brain. All the inputs during the day or in its subconscious or in your unconscious, उसके साथ ही डील कर रहे हो. डिपेंडिंग ऑन अपने ब्रेन को कितना बड़ा प्रॉब्लम दिया, उस हिसाब से ब्रेन उसको सॉल्व करने की ट्राई करता है विद ऑल द डेटा दैट हैज बीन देयर सिंस यू आर बोर्न टिल नाउ. Netflix CEO was once asked, who is your competitor?
Yes, this is the scariest answer I've ever heard. Sleep is our competitor. I can't imagine he said that.
But why can't you stop watching that Netflix episode when you are watching? Because your brain doesn't like open loops.
It wants the conclusion. It wants the conclusion, and they hide the conclusion in the last episode.
Use it to your advantage. आपकी स्टार्टअप पे आपको एक सॉल्यूशन चाहिए, नहीं मिल रहा है, कीप थिंकिंग नहीं मिल रहा और सो जाओ. ब्रेन डजंट लाइक ओपन. वो ट्राई करेगा आपको आंसर देने.
Correct. That's a very good way of thinking. Give your mind problems to solve in dreams.
वही आइंस्टाइन ने किया सबकॉन्शियस, उसको पता
I
नहीं था.
actually do that. मैं ना I think whenever I'm sleeping, I sleep with a thought about what I am working on, what is that I'm looking at, and I have a feeling कि dreams से आंसर मिलते हैं, but मुझे dreams याद नहीं रहते. I get up with a clean slate. मतलब मुझे ऐसा लगता है 8 घंटे I was on,
कोमा में थे.
हाँ मतलब मैं गायब था. I just get up, मुझे कुछ नहीं पता. मतलब rarely I remember dreams, and मे बी मैंने अपने दिमाग को प्रोग्राम कराया नहीं याद रखने के लिए, क्योंकि 2-3 बार जो मुझे ड्रीम्स याद थे वो उसी सुबह को एक्चुअली रियल में आई हैव सीन. आई वॉज ड्रीमिंग ऑफ बीइंग सराउंडेड बाय नील गाय. आई वॉज इन कॉलेज एंड माई कॉलेज वॉज इन अरावलीज. आई यूज टू गो हाइकिंग. 1-2 बार मुझे नील गाय दिखी थी. सो आई वॉज क्यूरियस अबाउट नील गाय. मुझे ड्रीम्स में आया था कि मैं 15-20 नील गाय से सराउंडेड हूँ. उस कॉलेज में आज तक नील गाय नहीं आई थी. द डे आई हैड दिस ड्रीम एंड आई रिमेंबर्ड इट, आई वेंट फॉर ब्रेकफास्ट एंड इन कॉलेज कैंपस देयर वर 20 नील गाय. पूरा कॉलेज कैंपस वाज गूज बॉम्ब कि इनको कैसे क्या करना है. एंड आई वाज स्कैर्ड कि ये कैसे हुआ. एंड देन देयर वाज अ ड्रीम वेयर आई हैड फॉलन इन द ड्रीम, एंड दैट मॉर्निंग व्हाइल गोइंग टू कैंपस साइक्लिंग आई हैड अ फॉल.
So there are a lot of answers science still doesn't have. The feeling of deja vu.
दिस वाज द बिगेस्ट डेजा वू आई एवर हैड. मतलब कॉलेज कैंपस ग्राउंड, हट्टी कट्टी 20 नीलगाय खड़ी हैं ब्राउन कलर की. मतलब यू गेट स्कैर्ड विद वन, देयर आर 20 स्टैंडिंग, एंड देन आफ्टर 15 मिनट्स ऑल ऑफ देम आर गॉन. कुछ नहीं करना पड़ा किसी को.
As I said, we still don't know. Can your mind predict the future? We don't know.
बट मैं बिकॉज दीज फ्यू थिंग्स वर, पता नहीं फ्यूचर प्रेडिक्ट कर रहा था या क्या था, बट आई गॉट स्केयर्ड कि यार ये क्या ड्रीम था, कुछ हो जाता नील गाय किसी को मार वार देती. तो मे बी आई ट्रिगर्ड कि याद नहीं रखना है मे बी.
But the bigger point, Pranav, for you and I is we only dream when we sleep.
Yes.
And number two, that there is a reason why dreams are an important part. But you can only get dreams in REM stage. वो तो
आई नो मुझे रेम स्लीप तो आता है प्रॉपर. ड्रीम बहुत अच्छे से आता है. रेम स्लीप बहुत बढ़िया सोता हूँ मैं. बट वो ड्रीम आई विल मे बी स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन द थिंग दैट यू सेड कि make a note. Make a note. I want to remember. So I'll maybe start recalling.
And when you wake up, immediately write what you.
Yeah, I'll try and do that. I think I programmed myself to just skip that thought कि नहीं वो याद नहीं रखना है, बंद कर दो डोर उठने से पहले. Maybe it was like that. So tell me something about the people who are maybe a different chronotype but they are doing night shifts. वो सोचते हैं कि पूरा रात काम करके अब दिन में सो जाएंगे. They are also missing on vitamin D, but I think on the other side, is the sleep equal? If
sleep is up to you.
Okay.
So what I tell people is a lot of night shift workers like pilots, a lot of air hostesses sometimes DM me.
Yeah.
And
my wife is a pilot and I see her sleeping at different hours.
So I feel sad for them. So what you will need to do is you will have to make extra effort than you and I.
Yeah.
They will. So one thing what I tell them is once you are back, create an environment of sleep, right? To sleep in an absolutely dark room, cold room,
Yeah.
with a blanket, and get yourself 8 hours of sleep. I can't change the fact that you've returned home at 5 a.m. But you can change the fact that from 5 a.m. I will get my 8 hours of sleep. Despite that there is some damage that you are doing because you are not aligning with the circadian rhythm.
Yeah, yeah.
In US, all the night shift worker have higher insurance by the government than normal people working. Damage hota hai, but you can reduce the damage.
You need to work on your recovery then.
You need to sleep for 8 hours. Then the body gets used to it. Unfortunately for pilot, it's not that every day मैं 5 बजे आ रहा हूँ, कभी 3 बजे आ रहा हूँ.
बहुत ज़्यादा change होता है. It is completely random.
It's a tough place to be.
Yeah.
Nurses in hospitals, doctors.
My father is a doctor, wife is a pilot. I see both the things. Yeah. Both of them have disturbed sleep.
Both of them are great service at the same time causing harm.
It is a very difficult job. Very, very difficult job. Like their sleeps are very fragile. Very fragile. Also, sir, about I've heard you speaking about teenagers sleeping late and it is completely fine and parents should not bother them. Tell me more about it because that is something where a lot of fights happen in families.
No, yeah, I'm saying more about it. You have to understand the sleep cycle from an age perspective, right? If you look at an infant will sleep for 14 to 16 hours. क्यों? Mother Nature उसको सुलाती है because when you are sleeping, your organs are developing. Your
Recovery
growth
and
hormones are
development is happening.
develop growth point of view से तो उनको 12-14 घंटा सोना है. The moment you hit your teenage or your puberty or your adolescence, again the circadian rhythm has shifted. Now, because your circadian rhythm has shifted, मैं और आप कूद जाए और somebody between 15 to 25 cannot sleep at 8 or 10 o'clock. उनकी circadian rhythm shift evolutionary point of view से जब आप रात को सोते थे, you had the highest chance of some animal coming and eating you or some tribe coming in. Who would take care of that? Because जो youth थे, जो 35-40 के थे, वो लोग तो जाके हंट कर रहे थे, जो थके हुए थे, तो वो सोते थे. लेडीज काम करती थी, वो सोती थी, तो वो गार्डिंग उनको दिया गया था यूथ को.
Very interesting. This is something which opens a complete new thought process.
Everything has an answer in evolution.
It actually is very true what you said, because that is how they were surviving. Someone had to night guard and someone had to save the people, because animal तो night में आएगा, night में सबसे ज़्यादा probability है.
And they had to be the most alert. So people, kids in the 15 to 25, 27, 30 zone, they will be most alert at 10 to 12 p.m. at night. They do their best work at 10 to 12 p.m. at night on average.
And it is an evolutionary programming there.
उसको बोल दो यार 8 बजे सो जा, 10 बजे सो जा. And I tell parents, fine, you are right. ठीक है, अब एक काम कर, रोज तू 2 बजे सो के दिखा. It's as impossible for you to sleep at 2. It's as impossible for them to sleep at 10. How can I ask something that I can't do of others? But then again our circadian rhythm shifts. After the age of 60, 65, we struggle to go to sleep. We behave like a kid. हमको सोना है, but हमारा hormonal changes ही ऐसे हो गए कि old age में आपको नहीं आएगी 8 घंटा एक साथ नींद.
Body थकी हुई है.
The way Mother Nature has also built this is they give you bouts of sleeps during older period. रात को 4 घंटा खींच लेंगे, फिर सुबह ब्रेकफास्ट करके 1 घंटा सो जाएंगे.
करेक्ट, ब्रेक हो जाता है. Basically old age में more segment of sleeps come. It was amazing talking to you, sir. I think a lot of insightful conversations came up, and I think it is awareness that matters after all. I think the more aware we are about all aspects of life, we'll take care of ourselves. We'll be our best CEOs for ourselves. I think that is how we should look at life.
Yeah, I keep telling people, a lot of people tell that we have one life. I said, no, we have one body.
We have one body.
Take care of it.
Amazing, sir. Thank you. Thank you for coming to the show.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for watching till the end, and please don't forget to comment below and let us know what would you like to hear about next. We will invite that guest on the podcast and have the discussions about the mindset and emotional intelligence. Please do like, subscribe and share, and thank you again for watching till the end.